You ever get a letter that just makes you laugh right up until you realize they're dead serious? Yeah, that was me one lazy Tuesday night, cold beer in one hand, microwave Kung Pao in the other, when I opened this envelope from the Willow Creek HOA and nearly choke. 30 grand. Not a typo, not a prank. $30,000. They said I'd violated something called Section 6.3 for buying a dinky little cabin out by Lake Hiron, a full 40 miles away. I hadn't even told anyone about it. Wasn't a secret, just it was mine, you know? A place for me and my daughter Emma to escape all this manicured suburban nonsense. But let me back up a sec. I'm not the sort who looks for trouble. I keep my yard neat, wave at neighbors, nod at Karen Woods in her deathly white Buick when she's out patrolling for invisible dandelions. Willow Creek's the sort of place you could forget about the minute you leave the cul-de-sac. 9 years of peace, mortgage paid off, and all I wanted was to drift through the weekends without someone measuring my mailbox. HOA was always just there, part of the deal, a bunch of retirees treating the rulebook like it was the U.S. Constitution. Karen, though Karen was different. Sharp as vinegar, president for 3 years, the kind who wore cardigans like body armor and weaponized Excel spreadsheets. She never smiled unless she was about to find someone. We never tangled until the lake house. This lake house, let's call it what it was, a glorified cabin with working plumbing and a porch that made you thirsty for a sunset beer. I got on a whim in April, put it in an LLC for tax reasons, figured nobody's business but mine and Emma's. She was 12, already more cynical than I'll ever be, and hated the HOA's rules even more. Do they allow dogs? She asked. They don't allow anything. There is no they, I told her. Her grin could have powered the lights for a week. Our first weekend out there, we cleaned up, roasted hot dogs, patched the dock, no noise, no inspections, just peace so thick you could hear your brain reboot. I thought I'd found our safe place. Then came the letter. I read it again and again, trying to make sense of it. 30 grand for buying property that wasn't even in the HOA. I called the number, and wouldn't you know, Karen answered. Her voice was all syrup and barbed wire. You failed to disclose your secondary property, which breaches our community cohesion standards. I laugh at Cal and help it. It's 40 miles away, Karen. Our charter is quite clear, she purred. She started talking about structural obligations and tax-based loyalty, like she was reciting scripture. I hung up before I said something unneighborly. But this wasn't a bluff. That week, my pool card stopped working, my mailbox key jammed, Emma got booted from the tennis courts because our account was delinquent. I was under siege of people who organized bake sales. Every day was a new trick. Neighbor complaint forms, lawn 2 inches too long, trash skipped my house, and my mail started going missing. I even found out someone had filed a temporary mail forward. I never requested. Wonder who had access to the community portal? Huh? When I tried the police, the officer gave me a look and said, sounds like a civil matter. But when I mentioned Willow Creek, he just sighed, yeah, we get calls. I'd have stayed in denial if it weren't for Emma. She came home quiet, asked me, why are kids at school saying we're getting kicked out? That hit different. That night, I spread every document, bylaw, and notice out on my office floor like I was solving a murder. And I called Susan, real estate attorney, friend of a friend, the kind you keep in your phone in case the HOA goes full North Korea. Susan's reaction? They're trying to break you. Classic HOA overreach. You're lucky they haven't towed your car. That made me look out the window. She sent a cease and desist, reported them to the state oversight office. Yes, apparently that exists. I felt better for 12 hours until I found a bag of dead fish on my porch with a note. Hope the lake house was worth it. This was officially nuts. So I started documenting everything. I put up cameras, logged every letter and phone call. Karen didn't flinch. The HOA doubled down now. I was being accused of running an unlicensed Airbnb. The county inspector showed up, asked to see guest logs. I laughed, offered him a beer. The place wasn't even fit for guests, but Karen didn't care. She wanted to make my life miserable, even from 40 miles away. Then it got even dumber. I was cited for aesthetic anomalies. My shutters were regulation blue, my mailbox regulation model, but now the garage door had unauthorized windows. Same window as always. A drone started buzzing my backyard. Emma spotted it first. I waved at it with barbecue tongs. Sent the footage to Susan, who filed a complaint. Nothing happened. But you know who finally broke? Roger Milnick, the car wash guy on the board. He called one night, nervous as a cat. "I don't like what's happening, James. It's gotten out of hand." I asked if he'd go on record. He said no, but warned me, Karen's got something planned. 2 days later, the police came. Not just one car, 3. Emma was doing homework. "Are you James Harper?" they asked. "Last I checked, we got a report of unlicensed weapons and illegal business." I almost laughed, but they weren't smiling. I let them look around. No arsenal, no black market bath bombs, just a dad and his kid. Afterward, Emma clung to her sketch pad. "They thought you were a criminal," she whispered. "No," Karen did. I told her. That was the turning point. Susan filed for a protection order, started building a harassment case. The judge let us submit evidence. From then on, I stopped playing defense. I started recording everything, including the next HOA meeting. I showed up, put my laptop on the table, and hit record. Karen launched into a tirade about me. If we allow James Harper to ignore enforcement, we invite chaos. She actually said, "Let him go public. Nobody listens to people who lose their houses." Yeah, well, I sent that video to Susan. She filed an emergency injunction. We leaked the video, password protected, to a few homeowners. The next day, my inbox lit up. People started telling their own stories. One woman, Darlene, used to be treasurer before Karen took over. She met me at a Panera and told me Karen had changed the bylaws, snuck in a new clause about multi-property obligations, never voted on it, just slid it into the online version. That was the smoking gun. Susan filed suit, fraud, defamation, abuse of power. Local news picked it up. Karen panicked. She slapped me with a $52,000 fine, threatened foreclosure, hand-delivered a glossy brochure about voluntary surrender. Voluntary surrender like I was Al Capone. The hearing was surreal. Susan brought receipts, literal receipts. Karen used HOA money for private eyes, drones, and threats against local reporters. The judge was not amused. Karen was ordered out, the HOA put under third-party control, and all fines against me erased. But Karen wasn't done. She tried to set up a new group, Willow Creek Preservation League, recruiting people with fear and promises. Roger, bless him, turned whistleblower and shared an email outlining the whole plot. The judge crushed it with a cease and desist. Suddenly, everyone had a story fine for Christmas lights, for barbecue guests, for wind chimes. Local Rep. Alicia Phelps called me to testify at a hearing on HOA reform. I told the story, start to finish, to a packed hall under flickering lights. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about every neighbor tired of being bullied by a clipboard. Karen tried to sue me for defamation. Susan laughed so hard she nearly spilled her coffee. The judge dismissed it, scolded her for vexatious litigation, and we all moved on. A bill called the Harper Incident started working its way into law. Caps on HOA fines, no more surprise foreclosures, mandatory transparency. In the end, the new HOA president, Mel Torres, shredded the violation forms at his first meeting and hosted a barbecue. Karen moved away quiet as a mouse. Emma drew a giant octopus strangling a sign that read HOA on our driveway. I helped her with the tentacles. 6 months later, the neighborhood's peaceful. The lake house is still ours, and the only letters I get now are from people asking how to fight back. So let me ask you, where's the line between order and tyranny? Where does community end and control begin? Drop your story in the comments. Tell me what you have done. And if you've ever tangled with an HOA, you already know, sometimes the only way out is straight through.